a girl named Bee notices that there's a strange creature living inside her building.
Ooh, I wouldn't do that.
This gets her curious, but despite her efforts, she's unable to find the creature. One day, while she's then in her room, she hears the creature creeping out of the building, so she follows it. A few days earlier, Bee arrives in New York to live in her grandmother's house while her dad awaits his heart surgery at a nearby hospital. As they enter the house, Bee admires the old things in the house, which was where she used to come over for holidays when she was younger. After a while, Bee's grandmother shows her the room she'll be staying in, and there she also brings out an old box containing some of Bee's old paintings. However, Bee tells her grandmother that she no longer needs the things inside the box because she's now older than she used to be. Bee's grandmother understands her, so she just packs the box and keeps it inside a cupboard in the room. Shortly after, she then takes Bee to the hospital to see her dad. As she gets there, her dad tries to make her laugh by pretending that his drip stand is a real person. However, Bee doesn't really think they should be having so much fun. Since her dad realizes that she's worried, he convinces her that it's still possible to have fun despite the fact he's awaiting surgery. He also says that even though Bee's mom died from cancer in the same hospital, he doesn't think he'll die because his case isn't as serious. As Bee now feels better to hear this, her dad says his surgery is a simple one and that he'll do his best to survive it.
And I'm gonna be fine.
Following this, Bee returns home with her grandmother, and that night, while watching TV, she hears a strange sound coming from her room. When she gets there, she doesn't see anyone, but she notices that the cupboard is now slightly open. As she then checks it, she sees many of the old things she used to play with as a kid. Among the things there, Bee sees an old camera, but since it appears to be dead, she takes it to a nearby store to buy a charger for it. On her way out of the store, a cartoon-like character named Blossom appears to be following her, but she doesn't seem to know. However, as she gets to the front of the house, Blossom slows down, and Bee looks shocked to see her. Almost immediately, Blossom runs away, but Bee follows her. After a while, Bee eventually tracks Blossom down to a room on the top floor. Before she knocks on the door, she hears the voice of a man named Cal, who is scolding Blossom for allowing someone to see her. Bee looks confused, but as she tries to look through the keyhole, she sees the man's eye just before he tells her to leave. Bee says she only wants a friend because she just moved into the building with her grandmother, but she doesn't get any response. Just then, the building's landlady comes out of her room after hearing Bee's voice in the hallway. As she seems angry that her sleep was disturbed, Bee quickly runs back to meet her grandmother, who is still sleeping. The next day, Bee visits her dad at the hospital again, but before she gets to his room, she sees a boy named Benjamin, who jokes with her and talks about how he's bored because the TV in his room is broken.
TV's busted.
After they talk for a while, Bee eventually says she needs to leave to see her dad. When she gets to his room, her dad pulls off another funny prank, and this time she laughs and appears to enjoy his joke. Later that night, Bee finally gets to charge her camera, but while she's watching old videos of herself as a kid, she hears Blossom whispering to Cal before they leave the building together. Bee decides to follow them, but after a while,
Imagine second floor.
She sees Cal jumping over a fence and entering the room of a young boy who is already asleep. Inside the room, it then turns out that Cal is there to pick up a furry character named Blue, who was hoping the boy in the room could be his new friend. Since the plan didn't work, Cal tells them to leave, but as they head out, he sees Bee looking at them. Before she can do anything, Blossom calls her from behind, and as Bee looks at her closely, she just passes out. When she wakes up, Bee sees herself in Cal's room, with Blue and Blossom trying to make her comfortable. Bee looks scared and asks who they are, and Blue mentions his name. Bee finds this odd since he's purple, but Blue says that the kid who used to own him was colorblind. Before he talks any further, Cal shows up and tells Bee that it's nice to see her in the room again. She finds this very confusing, but Blue and Blossom also confirm that she used to come to the room very often when she was younger. As she still doesn't understand, Blue then explains that people like him and Blossom are called imaginary friends, or IFs.
If. We say if.
He adds that they are usually placed with kids at a young age to be their friends. B asks if the kid at the house he went to that night was his kid, but Blue says the kid who used to own him has now forgotten about him because he's older. He also adds that whenever their kids no longer need them, they won't be able to see the IFs anymore. B then asks what they went to do at the other boy's house earlier, and Blossom says they're starting a matchmaking agency so that they can find new kids for themselves and the other IFs that exist.
To help IFs find new kids.
As B is still trying to understand what they're talking about, Cal tells Blue and Blossom to stop telling her any more things that might make her feel overwhelmed because she's still a kid. However, B says she's not a kid, but she leaves afterward. The next day, B heads to the hospital to visit her dad, and while she's there, she sees Blue moving around. She's surprised by this, so she follows him until she finds where he's hiding. She then asks what he's doing there, and he says he wants to find more potential matches for himself. B doesn't think he should be in the hospital.
Because there's real people here.
But as they're talking, Benjamin sees her and wonders who she's talking to because he can't see Blue. Following this, B takes Blue back to meet Cal, saying she wants to return his IF to him. As they're then talking, Blue tells Cal that B might be the chosen one. Cal brushes off this suggestion, but while B looks confused, Blue tells her that she might be the chosen one to help them find their new kids.
You could save all of us.
Cal doesn't think B can do it, but when she insists that she wants to help, he agrees and decides to take her to a retirement home where all the other IFs are currently living. After taking a short journey to the retirement home, which is hidden inside one of the rides in a park, Cal takes B inside, and she sees several IFs in their different forms. A while later, Cal then takes B to meet an IF named Lewis, who is the oldest in the retirement home. Lewis looks happy to hear that B wants to help with the placement of IFs with new kids, but he first asks if Cal has already given her a tour of the place.
Did he give you the grand tour?
As she answers the question, Cal interrupts her and tells Lewis that he'll be leaving her with him so he can teach her everything she needs to know. Before Cal can walk away, Lewis asks if B knew that he used to be a clown. B finds this funny, but she says she never knew because Cal didn't tell her. Lewis then mentions that Cal was a good clown whose only job was to make her happy. B smiles as she hears this. But Cal says things are different now. As he's then about to leave, Lewis gives B the permission to use her imagination to control the retirement home and create whatever she wants. She does just this and creates wonderful experiences, but Cal doesn't seem to be comfortable because he keeps ending up on the wrong side of her tricks. After a while, though, they both leave the retirement home, and Cal says he's happy that B had fun.
Oh, good. Glad you're having fun.
The next day, B goes to the hospital to see her dad. When they meet, she informs him that she just got a new job, though she says she can't talk to him about it. After a while, B then goes to see Benjamin, who complains that he's still bored because the TV in his room is broken. B feels sorry for him, but before she walks away, she asks if he has ever had an imaginary friend. Benjamin says he has never had one, so B suggests getting him an IF, and he agrees. Following this, she heads to the retirement home with Cal
See if anybody has any experience in magic or fantasy.
and interviews some potential matches for Benjamin. After the interviews, she then takes the IFs to see Benjamin, but unfortunately, he's unable to see any of them. B looks disappointed by this, but Benjamin says he's not really worried about it because he still has her as his friend. Later that day, B returns to the retirement home and complains to Lewis about how her plan to find a match for Benjamin didn't work. As he encourages her not to give up, Lewis mentions that even though kids forget their IFs when they grow older,
Especially when they grow up.
there's always a way to connect them again through their past memories. The next day, B then asks her grandmother what she wanted to be as a kid. She says she wanted to be a dancer, and while talking about it, she sounds quite happy. As she keeps reminiscing about the old times, she shows B a picture from when she used to dance. B then asks why she stopped dancing, and she says she got older. While staring at her grandmother's picture, B suddenly notices that Blossom was also there with her. This leaves B shocked, but after going to Cal's apartment, she meets Blossom and asks her about it. Just then, Blossom confirms it, but she says that despite everything she has tried, B's grandmother still doesn't remember or see her. Suddenly, B comes up with an idea and says they'll need to find a way to remind her. Shortly after, she heads down to her grandmother's apartment and plays a song in the living room before finding a place to hide. When her grandmother hears the song, she initially decides to turn it off. but as it reminds her of her childhood, she starts dancing. This immediately triggers a connection with Blossom, and as she starts glowing to show that Bee's grandmother can now feel her presence, Bee and Cal look happy with this. The next day, Bee decides to help Blue next, so she gets a file on his childhood friend, whose name is Jeremy. After finding Jeremy, Bee and Cal realize that he's now a grown man who looks nervous about a job interview he's heading for. While Jeremy is practicing his answers for the interview inside the bathroom, Bee encourages Blue to go inside and stand next to him. Unfortunately, Blue gets too close and sneezes, so this allows Jeremy to fall down, with the water from a broken tap splashing on him, even though he still can't see his IF. He eventually leaves the bathroom, and Blue looks disappointed to have not been able to help Jeremy. After a while, Bee thinks about what could have gone wrong, and as Blue mentions that he needs a snack,
Or I need a snack.
she finally realizes what was missing. Following this, she buys a box of snacks and takes it with her to the venue of Jeremy's interview. While they're sitting in the lobby, Bee opens the box of snacks, and as Jeremy smells it, he seems to be attracted to it. Even though he eventually focuses on his interview preparation, this appears to be enough for Blue to start glowing, and it turns out that they always bonded with snacks when Jeremy was younger. Almost immediately, their connection gets interrupted when Jeremy is called in for his interview. As he stands up and prepares to enter the interview room, Blue gets behind him and starts to glow again. He then holds on to Jeremy and calms him down. Following this, Jeremy finds the courage to enter the interview room confidently, and Blue thanks Bee for helping him. When they return to the retirement home, the other IFs cheer for Bee because she has managed to do something that they thought was impossible. Cal also congratulates her,
Congratulations.
after which they head home together. When Bee arrives home, she sees her grandmother looking unsettled as she looks around the apartment for her keys while saying they need to get to the hospital to see her dad because he just had his surgery. Bee looks scared because she doesn't want to lose him, so she runs to meet Cal to tell him. As she sounds really sad while mentioning that she's scared of saying goodbye again, Cal consoles her. When Bee also says she doesn't know what to say to her dad if she sees him, Cal convinces her to tell him a story instead.
Just tell him a story.
Following this, she then hugs Cal before leaving for the hospital, where all the IFs are standing in the hallway as Bee heads to see her dad, who just got out of a complicated surgery. After Bee enters the room, she looks sad to see her dad still unconscious. As she then cries, she starts telling a story of how sad she was when her mom died and how she tried to pretend to be a grown-up so she could deal with the pain. She then adds that it was her dad who always made her feel like a child and that she doesn't want to lose him yet. Almost immediately, her dad wakes up and says it was a nice story.
That's a really good story.
Bee quickly hugs him and looks happy to see that he's alive and well. She then heads out to inform her grandmother that her dad is awake. A while later, Bee buys a gift for Cal to thank him for helping her overcome her fear. However, when she knocks on the door, the landlady sees her and asks what she wants. Bee says she wants to see her friend who lives there, but the landlady looks shocked and opens the door to show the girl that the door leads to an old storage room. Bee doesn't understand this, but she believes Cal likely left. Days later, Bee's dad returns to the building to pack her things so he can leave with his daughter and head back home. While they're still packing, Bee looks disappointed to have not been able to say goodbye to Cal and the other IFs. As she then arranges her things into the car, her old box of paintings falls, and while looking at them, she sees a painting of herself and her parents, as well as a clown named Calvin. Following this, Bee realizes that Cal is actually her IF, so she runs to the storage room. Even though there's no one there, Bee says she believes Cal can hear her. She then mentions that even though he might think she doesn't need him anymore, the real truth is that she'll always need him. As Bee closes her eyes, Cal and the other IFs appear to be in the room. Bee looks happy about this, and as she hugs Cal, he starts to glow to show that they're connected again. Shortly after, Bee leaves the city with her dad, while her grandmother and Blossom watch them as their car moves away. Elsewhere, Cal helps some of the other IFs find their friends, and luckily, Benjamin connects with the dragon. A while later, Bee and her dad arrive at their new home, and there, her dad meets his IF, who turns out to be an invisible boy.